Volcanoes and stratovolcanoes may have depressions at the top. These depressions are called volcanic depressions. They include craters and calderas. Let's look at how craters form. A crater is a funnel-shaped depression formed at the mouth of a volcanic vent. Craters can be formed through either of the following three ways. 1. By cooling and contraction of magma. 2. Through violent volcanic explosion, and 3. By falling of a meteorite.
Formation of craters by cooling and contraction of magma. After a volcanic eruption, magma in the central vent cools and contracts, leaving a depression at the mouth of the vent. The depression is called a crater. Rainwater or water from melting snow may collect in the depression to form a lake. Examples of craters are found on top of volcanic mountains such as Mount Masibit, Muhavura, Oeldonyo Langai, Kilimanjaro, Longonot, Saswa, and Menengai. Examples of crater lakes include Lake Paradise, Magadi, Ngorongoro, and Chala. The picture below shows a crater.
Formation of a crater through a volcanic explosion. As lava flows, a volcanic cone is formed. The central or side vents may be sealed when lava solidifies in them. This causes pressure to pile up below the plug. The building of pressure underneath may lead to a violent explosion which blows the top of the volcano cone, leaving a funnel-shaped depression called a crater. Examples of craters formed through explosion include Dobet craters in Tanzania and Ora crater in Ethiopia.
As we mentioned earlier, a crater can also be formed when a meteorite hits the ground. Fragments of meteoroid fails to burn completely in the air. They fall on the Earth's surface, sinks into the rocks and leave a depression called craters. Water may collect into such depression, forming lakes, e.g. Lake Bosamtwi in Ghana.
Calderas. A caldera is a very large steep-sided depression on the summit of a volcano. Calderas can be formed through any of the following methods. By violent volcanic eruption, by block subsidence, and by outward collapse.
Formation of calderas through violent volcanic eruption. The following happens when a caldera is being formed through violent volcanic eruption. Lava pours out of a central vent to form a volcanic cone. The vent is sealed when lava solidifies in it. The solidified lava blocks the gases and steam beneath, preventing them from escaping. Pressure piles up below the lava. This pressure leads to violent eruption which blows off the top of the cone, forming a depression. The resulting depression is large and circular and it is known as an explosion caldera. Examples of explosion caldera are Sabino caldera in Uganda. We also have Nyamlajara and Nyiragongo calderas in the DRC.
Formation of calderas through block subsidence occurs as follows. Lava pours out of a central vent to form a volcanic cone. The magma chambers below are left empty. Due to the overlying weight at the top of the cone, pressure is exerted. The top of the cone then sinks, forming a depression. The depression is large and circular and is called a collapse caldera. Examples of collapse calderas are Menengai in Kenya, Ngorongoro in Tanzania, and Lake Chala caldera. Finally, let's look at how calderas are formed through the third method. Through outward collapse. A volcano is built of ash and pyroclast to form a dome. The weak materials at the base are unable to support the weight of the overlying materials. The materials at the base spread outwards and the top part of the volcano sinks. This sinking is called subsidence. The subsidence leads to formation of a large depression called a caldera. An example is Nepak caldera in Uganda. A caldera may be filled with water from direct rain or melting snow to form lakes such as Magadi in Tanzania, Chala in Ethiopia, and Nyos in Cameroon, among others.
Formation of hot springs, steam jets and geysers. Formation of hot springs. A hot spring is a natural, quiet and continuous flow of relatively warm water from the ground through a fissure. Hot springs are found in the following areas. On the shores of Lakes Magadi and Bagoria. In Oel Karia. Near Homa Hills. On the slopes of Mount Longonot and Around Menangai caldera.
Formation of hot springs. Rainwater percolates the crustal rocks through cracks or fissures. The water reaches a zone of hot rocks called magma. The water gets superheated, changing into water vapor. The vapor is under high pressure and so it forces its way up, heating the groundwater. The heated water under pressure flows out continuously, forming hot springs.
Geysers. A geyser is a jet of hot water and steam which are rejected from underground through a fissure. For a geyser to form, water percolates underground through cracks in the rock. The water gets into contact with hot igneous rocks. The water is superheated to form gases or steam. Pressure builds up in the crack on the rock and forces the steam and hot water to be ejected to the surface. The water and steam are emitted intermittently as pressure level changes to form a geyser. It's important for you to note that a steam jet is a mixture of steam and other gases called fumaroles escaping from small cracks or holes in the ground. Shores of Lake Bogoria, Oldonyo Langai in Tanzania and Mount Kilimanjaro are examples of areas with geysers. Let us now look at the differences between hot springs and geysers. First, hot springs have warm water while geysers have very hot water. Second, in hot springs water comes out quietly while in geysers, water comes out violently. Finally, for hot springs, only water comes out while for geysers, water is accompanied by steam.
Formation of steam jets, the Solfatara, fumaroles. A steam jet is a mixture of steam and other gases escaping from small cracks on the Earth's surface. Fumaroles are gases which come from chemical reactions in crustal rocks. Moffats are volcanic vents or fumaroles which release carbon dioxide and steam. Solfataras, on the other hand, are volcanic vents which release sulfur dioxide and steam. As we wind up the topic, let us say something about features formed by fissure eruption. These are formed when magma flows quietly from inside the earth. Fissure eruption leads to formation of three main features. 1. Lava plains. 2. Lava plateaus and 3. Tuff plateaus. Lava plateaus are formed when magma reaches the Earth's surface through multiple vents. The lava is ultra-basic or very fluid, and because of this, it flows over a long distance covering hills and depressions. The lava cools and slowly solidifies. Repeated eruptions causes more layers to build over each other, forming a tableland called a lava plateau, as illustrated on the diagram below. Examples of lava plateaus are Yatta, Laikipia, Nika, Uasin Gishu and Maralol in Kenya. Other are Ethiopian lava plateau, Bayo plateau in Nigeria and Deccan plateau in India.
Formation of lava plain. A lava plain is a fairly level lowland below 500 meters above sea level and which is covered by thin layers of lava. They are formed as follows. Earth movement causes cracks on the crustal rocks. Lava escapes onto the Earth's surface through multiple cracks. The lava spreads over a very extensive area, filling all valleys and depressions. The lava cools and solidifies. Successive eruptions lead to more and more layers, building up thin plain/extensive lowland land called lava plain. Examples of lava plains: Athai plains, Kapiti lava plains and Laita lava plains.
Formation of tuff plateau. Volcanic eruption releases a rock called tuff. Violent explosion throws shattered fragments of pyroclasts high in the air. These fragments may cool and solidify before they eventually fall back on the ground to form volcanic rock particles, for example in Serengeti Plain. Good luck.